All right, let's talk about a feeling we've all had, one that's super modern, but also just deeply human. It's that feeling of anxiety you get when you have way too many choices. We're always told that more options mean more freedom, right? But what if the science actually says the complete opposite? Okay, let's get into it.
You know that feeling, right? That moment you're just frozen, staring at a massive wall of options, and your brain just kind of shuts down. You're supposed to be happy, look at all this freedom, but instead you just feel totally overwhelmed.
And this is it right here. The endless scroll through Netflix looking for the perfect movie until it's just too late to watch anything at all. Or the toothpaste aisle with 50 different kinds, all promising whiter teeth. The dating apps, where the next potential person is just one swipe away, making it impossible to feel good about anyone. Or, and this one gets me every time, that huge library of video games where you spend more time choosing what to play than actually playing. This isn't just you. This is a modern-day thing.
Which brings us right to the heart of this whole thing. Psychologists have a name for it: the tyranny of choice, or sometimes the paradox of choice. It's this wild, counterintuitive idea that the very thing we think will make us happier, more options, can actually do the exact opposite. It can leave us feeling anxious, dissatisfied, and even full of regret.
So how do we even begin to deal with this? Well, researchers have found that, for the most part, people fall into one of two camps when it comes to making decisions. And figuring out which one you are, well, that's the first step to getting out of this trap. So here we go. Time for the diagnosis. Are you a maximizer or are you a satisficer? These are the two basic styles of decision-making. And trust me, they have a huge impact on how you experience this world of infinite choice. Okay, first up, the maximizer. A maximizer is on a mission. Their goal isn't just to find a good choice. It's to find the single, solitary, best possible choice. They're the ones reading every single review, comparing every feature, looking at every scrap of data to make sure they're making the objectively perfect decision. For them, perfection is the only acceptable outcome.
And then, on the other side of the coin, you have the satisficer. Now, a satisficer has standards, they have criteria, but their goal is completely different. They're just looking for an option that's good enough. The second they find something that checks their main boxes, the search is over. Boom, they choose it, and they move on with their life.
This slide just nails it, laying it all out side by side. For the maximizer, the goal is the best, but the result is often just second-guessing and doubt. For the satisficer, the goal is good enough, and the result is usually feeling good about it. So take a second, be honest with yourself. Which one of these sounds more like you?
Now this brings up the obvious question. The maximizer, with all that research, they must end up with better things, right? And because they have the best stuff, they must be happier. It just seems logical, but the research tells a shockingly different story.
And this gets us to the price of perfection. Let's really look at what the science says about the surprising and very real downsides of always needing to have the best.
This quote from psychologist Barry Schwartz, who really pioneered all this research, just frames it perfectly. This explosion of options we have in our lives, it doesn't automatically make us happier. In fact, it might be the very thing that's stopping us from actually enjoying the good choices we do make. So get this. Researchers actually developed a maximization scale to measure where people fall, and the patterns they found were stunning. The higher someone scores as a maximizer, the less happiness and optimism they report feeling. And, even more concerning, the more regret and depression they report. That constant quest for the best is, paradoxically, making people feel worse.
So why? What's going on here? Well, a huge piece of the puzzle is social comparison. Maximizers are constantly looking over their shoulder, wondering what everyone else has. They could have an amazing new phone, but the second they see a friend got one with a slightly better camera, their own satisfaction just plummets. They're not just comparing their choice to the other options on the shelf, they're comparing it to other people's choices. And in the age of social media, that is a game you can never, ever win.
But this isn't just a psychological quirk. It's a biological reality. There's a real reason your brain feels like it's about to short circuit when you give it too many options. This is the science behind what we call analysis paralysis.
Here is a fantastic way to think about it. Your brain's working memory, the part that's juggling all the information while you're trying to make a decision, it's like a small desk. It only has so much space.
And this slide shows exactly what happens when you try to pile way too many options onto that little desk. Things start falling off, information gets lost.
Your ability to make a decision just grinds to a halt. You start to feel that mental fatigue, that brain fog. Not only that, your risk of actually making a mistake goes up. And your body? It freaks out. It triggers a stress response, releasing hormones like cortisol. That feeling of being overwhelmed? It's a real neurochemical event.
And this is the most painful part. When you have a million choices and you pick one and it turns out to be just, okay, who do you blame? Yourself. The logic is brutal. With so many alternatives out there, you feel like you had every chance to get it right. So a bad outcome feels like a personal failure, which just feeds that whole cycle of regret and dissatisfaction. Okay, I know that all sounds a little bleak, but here is the good news, and it is really good news. We are not doomed. We can actually actively choose to be happier. So let's talk about some clear, practical strategies to escape this tyranny of choice.
Let's break these down, because this is where you can really start to make a difference. First, embrace good enough. Seriously, for the low-stakes decisions, what brand of paper towels to buy, what to have for lunch, don't torture yourself. Just pick one that works and move on. You need to save that precious mental energy for stuff that really matters. Second, learn to love constraints. Think about a small menu at a great restaurant. That's not a burden, it's a liberation. Someone already did the hard work of picking the best stuff for you. It's a gift. Third, and this one is a game changer, make second-order decisions. These are basically rules you set for yourself once to eliminate hundreds of future choices, like, I only buy this brand of jeans, or I always fly this one airline. You automate the small stuff. And finally, number 4, curtail social comparison. This one is huge. Once you've made a choice and you're happy with it, just enjoy it. Put the phone away. Stop scrolling to see if someone else made a better choice. The moment you start comparing, you lose.
So, I'll leave you with this question. You don't have to change your entire life overnight. Just think about it. What is one small, everyday choice that you can simplify, starting this week? Maybe it's your coffee order, your cereal, the show you put on after work. Making that one tiny change could be your first step to freeing yourself from the paradox of choice. Thanks for joining me on this one.